Welcome to another inbox segment, once again on the move. Daz Wild had questions on vertical counterpoises I used at home for 160 metres. I'm not all that active from there, but the counterpoises are just bits of gardening wire put in the ground. I don't have a particularly large yard, but there's probably about 40 or 50 metres worth of counterpoises in there. As for the best 160 metre portable spot on AM, where there's local activity concentrated in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, a good park somewhere in the middle of that has produced good results, or alternatively by or near the water. Yes, it would be great to use buoys out to sea to support counterpoise wires, but unfortunately not really possible, not having a boat. There is a good response to the Wade tenor, pedestrian mobile antenna. That's where I walked up to my ankles in the salt water and got better results. The variable capacitors came from J-Car or old AM radios. They're okay for QRP, around 5 watts or so, but I wouldn't use them for higher power. Cicio9281 made a good point about antenna couplers and ground tuning units. Yes, a pedestrian mobile antenna with both of them could produce quite good results, but I'm not convinced about the merits of continuous loading on 80 metres. Particularly when using lightweight fishing poles, I think I'd prefer to stick with a centre loading arrangement. And that's another thing for the to-do list, pedestrian mobile on 80 metres. I'm almost certain the results would be better than the magnetic loop, which I've occasionally used. Mike Hall wanted links to L matches. Yep, there's quite a lot of them on the web. They do change and it can be a hassle to keep them up to date. So I just do a search on Google. In more recent times, summits of the air operators tend to use portable antennas a lot, and you'll often see them with blogs describing their L-match coupler, so that's a good place to start. Silver Surfer wanted some suggestions on NVIS antennas, and possibly even a video. A low dipole a few metres up would be a good choice. In relation to the item about the PA0 RDT mini whip, the antenna I was comparing against was not an active loop. Just my normal loops I use for pedestrian mobile. Daz Wild again, and he had a suggestion of the JF1 OZL website. Yes, I have seen it, and it's a fantastic website. There's some amazing, novel and simple homebrew transceivers. Like I think there's even a 3-transistor SSB transceiver. He uses the transistors for 2 or more functions. There's a lot of gear for 6 and 10 metres. Definitely highly recommended. As for coils and taps and regenerative receivers, that's really a thing for cut and try, especially in a receiver like the 12V 12AU7 regen receiver. Grind a few turns that you think will be okay and see what stations you can hear. Try to identify their frequencies, preferably starting with the AM broadcast band where the stations are familiar, and work up from there. And to George, it doesn't matter how the capacitors and coils are mounted in an L match. Just try to keep the wires short. A few people wrote in Spanish, sorry I can't read that. Michael Feely, ideal size for a magnetic loop on 6.5 to 7 MHz. It doesn't matter so much on receive, but on transmit, the bigger is a bit more efficient. I've used a metre in diameter, or just under. However, a 2 metre diameter loop, though too big for pedestrian mobile, would be a great try for a home station, and fairly efficient. Something 3 or 4 metres would produce results much nearer to that of a half-wave dipole. Scott Berg asked about setting up of skeds. Well, I don't have any regular times and frequencies. In the last month, I haven't made any contacts at all, but other times I may be fairly active. So, the best way is to be active on the bands, preferably call CQ, and if I'm on, I'll find you and answer you. Stephen Smith wanted a simple design for a HF direct conversion receiver. Have a look at the receive side of the Beach 40 QRP rig. There's a circuit on some of my videos, or have a look at my website for details of other people's constructions. Or look at VU2ESE, Ashar Farhan's website of BitX fame. He's also got a great receiver, almost identical to the one described in the video. To Patrick, ON4KNP, yes, just lately I've been putting up some reviews of old Dick Smith catalogues, back in the day when Dick Smith sold gear of interest to the electronics or ham radio person. Dick Smith did sell the Yaesu models FT301, FT1, FT980 and FT77, but some of them were only in 1 or 2 years, and they were missed in the reviews of catalogues that I did. Just to finish off this inbox segment, it's worth mentioning that I've made some changes to my website, VK3YE.com. There's a bit of extra content and some stuff has been updated, but most important is the website has been reformatted so it's easier to view on a mobile device. Again, that's VK3YE.com. That's been another inbox segment, an occasional segment where I reply to comments from viewers. Leave your comments below this and other videos.